Greetings, friends. Susan Swanke here from St. Christopher Parish Staff. This is the third in our series of videos called Disciple Maker Habits. And in our first two videos, we talked about what is the motive for evangelization, that we really have to have concern and care for the person in front of us, for their full flourishing. And secondly, how do we do evangelization, which is to be connected to the Lord and to love people. But we also said it's helpful to have some practical tools, some tips, some tools that will help us to understand how the process goes. So we are here in the back of church in our narthex, which has some tools here for you to use for your disciple-making habits. And one of them is this thresholds card. And we're going to explain this a little bit, and then you can come find one and use it. So just to recap, we are being called to go make disciples. Jesus has asked us to do that, centuries ago. When he was speaking to his first disciples, he invited them to go make other disciples. And that invitation has come down to us through the centuries from the Lord himself. But also, we're hearing it also again from our bishop, Bishop Hying, who is encouraging us to consider what it is to be a disciple, to grow in discipleship habits ourselves, and then to invite others to consider a life of following Jesus. And when we look in the Gospels, Jesus invites his followers and he gives them time. There's a process for their growth in being willing to follow him. And we see in the course of their life, Jesus invites them, and in the end, most of the 12 are martyred for their belief in Jesus. They want to follow him so steadfastly that everything else in this world comes second to them. So that's a beautiful testament to the depth and the richness of the love of Jesus and the invitation that we're being invited to, and then through us, Jesus is inviting new disciples. And what an exciting opportunity. But when a person goes through this process, there are certain kind of stages that they go through as they're considering a life of following Jesus so radically, so exclusively. So the first stage that a person goes through, and you can see this on the card, it's built like a mountain. So there are stages kind of like climbing up a mountain is the analogy. So the first one is building trust, that a person is very likely, much more likely to consider Christianity and following Jesus if they have trust built up with someone or something identifiably Christian, that the Christian people in their life are trustworthy. So this is the first stage of conversion, that a person needs to grow in trust. We build trust with them. So what they need from our, what we're offering to them is just genuine friendship, that we really show them that we care about them as a person. After a building of trust, and that takes different amounts of time for different people, there often will come a level of curiosity. Someone might ask, why do you practice what you do? Why do you go to church every Sunday? They're just curious about why we practice, and they're not considering it for themselves necessarily yet, but they're just intrigued and they ask questions. So the key for this stage is just to answer what they're asking and not overwhelm. Eventually, they will come to a stage which is called openness to change, and in this stage, a person is now starting to consider trying something on for themselves. Maybe it's a way of praying. Maybe it's a question about suffering, how God can help them through a time of suffering. Maybe it's an activity at your church that they're interested in. So here is where you can make an invitation, but important to make the invitation simple, not to overwhelm. After a time of trying on, and if it seems to fit, that will grow in a person, and they often will start to seriously seek Jesus. they are seeking him on their own. You're not doing a lot. You hear from them that they've been looking up this particular thing about the church online, or they're listening to this Catholic podcast. They're really searching out the Lord on their own. So what they need in this stage is really just companionship and some guidance. And then eventually they're given an opportunity to make a decision to follow the Lord Jesus, exclusive of other religions and other ways of understanding the world. They've come to this conviction deep inside that this is the way they want to follow. And there's a lot of joy and beauty that comes from making that concrete decision as a disciple. So there's more after that, and you can see that on the card. On the back of this card, we have all of those thresholds, in addition to these 4 spiritual needs that we've been talking about at St. Christopher: encounter, accompaniment, community, and mission. So what we've done is we've created a grid here that gives suggestions for ideas of things you could invite someone to do once you've done a little bit of discernment of, I think they might be open to change, and this is the thing that I'd like to invite them to. For example, we have an encounter night here 4 times a year. It's a beautiful event for someone who is open to change and has friendship with you already. They've built up some trust. This is a great invitation for that person. So this is a great card for you to take home and put on your refrigerator to refresh your memory when you encounter someone that seems desiring of knowing you and knowing the Lord. So the thresholds of conversion are a really great tool to help us to be more effective in our evangelization. And just a couple little considerations about this model. One is our motive really matters here. As we walk with someone, it will matter a lot what our goal is. If we really care about the person, we will have a lot of time and patience, because this takes time. It will also cause us to be courageous in asking and taking risks to invite someone to something. When we really care about someone, we take risks for their sake. That's part of love. The other thing that's really important to remember is every stage is a good stage. You know, this tool is not meant for us to, compare one another. Every stage is a good stage. You know, building trust is a good stage. We all have been through all these stages. Just like when you see a baby grow into a toddler, into an adolescent, every stage is a good stage, you know? So it's not totally linear. Life is unique, you know, but this does help us to see the different stages and how the general trajectory of someone's growth in discipleship and following the Lord Jesus. So something for you to consider. Come and find one of these cards, take it home, and spend some time in your own prayer. How have I grown through these stages? And maybe there's a teaching of the church or an aspect of your heart that is in need of growing through these stages, or is a place in your heart that needs to grow in trust. The extent to which we are able to recall and experience these stages is the extent to which we'll be able to help others through them, because we've experienced it. We know what it's like. So come find a card, and the next time you encounter someone, consider walking with them through these stages. And if you ever have questions, if you meet someone and you have a conversation and you're kind of like, gosh, I'm not really sure where to go from here, I would love to have a conversation with you about that. I have done that with some parishioners, and it's really a beautiful experience. So my email inbox is always open. The phone number is always available. Give a call and we'll talk through it.